प्रसीद प्रसीद मातः जगतोऽखिलस्य प्रसीद विश्वेश्वरि पाहि विश्वं त्वमीश्वरी देवी चराचरस्य त्वं वैष्णवी शक्तिरनन्तवीर्या विश्वस्य बीजं परमासि माया सम्मोहितं देवि समस्तमेतत् त्वं वै प्रसन्ना भुवि मुक्तिहेतुः।
Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Sri Matre Namaha. There has been a request for the story of Madhu Kaitaba. So what I'll do in this talk is cover the story of Madhu Kaitaba and also speak a little bit about the deluge or the pralaya and also the time period that we are in right now. Now, before going into the story, I just want to clarify a few things. When you look at different Puranas, the story or the details of the story vary a little bit here and there. So I'll keep the story simple and just take it at the face value. The important considerations here are how Madhu Kaitaba were born, how they got their boons, and how they started misusing the boons, and how they were slayed by Mahavishnu, and how Devi helped in the whole process and the scheme of things. Again, these stories from the Puranas are not mythology. They have been actual happenings in the long corridor or the long history of time, and the enlightened Vedavyasa has organized all this material not in a chronological order but in the way we benefit from the history. Here we go. Long ago, when the whole universe was filled with water, it looked like a great ocean. During this deluge, Bhagavan Vishnu was sleeping on his bed of Adisesha, which was floating in the middle of the ocean. Now Adisesha is divine, he is a Devata, and he is the divine serpent king. Now Bhagavan Vishnu was in Yoga Nidra when his senses were retrieved. His senses were pulled back, but he remained as the being in the fully awake state. Bhagavan Vishnu never sleeps. He always remains as the being. So here the Devi as Yoga Nidra Devi, and also known as Mahamaya, and also referred to as Tamasi Devi, remained in his eyelids and helped him be in Yoga Nidra. So in Yoga Nidra, Bhagavan Vishnu was deeply resting, and Brahmadeva remained in his lotus doing his meditation and in samadhi states, waiting for the new creation to begin after the deluge. Then, from Bhagavan Vishnu's ears, 2 specks of wax came out, and from this wax, 2 asuras named Madhu and Kaitaba were formed. They grew up very quickly and became very strong, They were playing and wandering in the water, and they were being nourished by this ocean. One day, they started thinking, they began wondering. They wondered about their origin, how they have come about, who are their parents, and what is the ocean here. And they began to start searching for answers. As usual, they were wandering here and there, and they were searching on the outside for these answers. So one day, during these wanderings, they heard the sound of some mantras or incantations high above them. And when they looked up, they also saw an illumination like a streak of lightning in the sky. So they decided to pray to the lightning that they saw and repeat the mantra again and again. So they began repeating this mantra continuously and then started meditating upon the glorious force above. They forgot to eat and drink and were so immersed in their meditation, and their penance lasted 1,000 years. Then Devi appeared before them and asked them to get their boons fulfilled. So here it's important to understand that in the Vedas, whenever one does some austerities or particular rituals or the yajnas or the penance, then one can get their desires fulfilled and their boons granted. This is part of the natural law. Here Bhagavan or Bhagavati, the Devi, remains impartial. The boons are given according to the merit of that yajna or penance. And naturally, these two asuras then asked for a lot of power and lot of strength, and finally, when the subject of death came, they said nobody can kill us, either the asuras or the devas, and we choose to die when we want to, and this is called Ichha Mrityu. So they wanted to die at a time of their choosing, otherwise they cannot be killed by anybody. And also, any of the devas or asuras will not be able to defeat them. Devi happily granted the boons. Then Madhu and Kaitaba, they understood how powerful they were and how invincible and indestructible they are, and they felt they are immortal because nobody else could kill them. They became puffed up with pride and they became arrogant and egoistic and started wandering here and there just to see where they can project their powers. Then they came upon Brahmadeva, who was sitting on the lotus in meditation, and in their arrogance they challenged Brahmadeva. They asked him to come down and have a duel with them, or they would devour him if not. Brahmadeva instantly knew that these asuras received the boons from Devi and that they are very mighty, and he was not a match in power to have a combat with them. But these two asuras wanted to devour him if he did not have a duel with them. So Brahmadeva immediately went to Vaikuntha and stood in front of Mahavishnu, who was in his Yoga Nidra on Adisesha. He prayed to Mahavishnu to save him, and Mahavishnu did not hear because his senses were pulled back and he was deeply resting. Then Brahmadeva knew that he was under the power of Yoganidra Devi, and he prayed to her to free Mahavishnu so that he could help him from these asuras. When Devi released Mahavishnu from this Yoga Nidra, and Mahavishnu, having listened to Brahmadeva of his ordeal, as the conversation was continuing between Bhagavan Vishnu and Brahmadeva, Madhu and Kaitaba appeared on the scene. They were actually looking for Brahmadeva, and as soon as they saw him, then they started challenging Brahmadeva again to fight the duel, or that they would devour him. Then Bhagavan Vishnu interrupted and said, "Forget about Brahmadeva. If both of you have faith in your own strength, fight me instead." And so the battle began. It was a wrestling match to behold. Here it's important to understand that Madhu and Kaitaba did not have any astras or weapons, and Mahavishnu had his Sudarshana Chakra, but he would not use it when the other person did not have weapons. So it was the wrestling match using their fists, and Mahavishnu had to fight with two of these invincible asuras. When Madhu was tired, then Kaitaba would engage Bhagavan Vishnu, and so they both took turns to get some rest, but Bhagavan Vishnu was continuously fighting. Then this great battle stretched for 5,000 years, and Bhagavan Vishnu was surprised at his inability to destroy these demons. He then cognized in his divine vision that they have been given boons by Devi, and that they would not be killed by any devatas, either devas or asuras. So he prayed to Devi to show a way to slay these asuras. So Devi answered his prayers and said to Mahavishnu, "You continue with this battle, and these asuras must only be overcome by trickery." So Mahamaya appeared there in person as the beautiful damsel, and the two asuras felt very attracted to Devi, and in their attraction for Devi, they started getting distracted. When Bhagavan Vishnu perceived that their concentration of these asuras was wavering, he addressed to them in a very pleasing voice, "I am very much pleased by the skill and the power both of you have displayed, and to date I have not come across any such great warriors. And so, in recognition for your bravery, I shall grant you a boon. You ask, and it shall be yours." These two asuras, who were under the spell of Devi and her Maya, laughed at Mahavishnu's words and said, "We are the ones who are winning this battle. We are more powerful than you are, and how can you grant a boon to us? Instead, we shall grant you a boon. Ask, and it shall be yours." And Bhagavan Vishnu immediately took upon this opportunity, and he said, "The boon that I seek is that both of you should die now at my hands." The two asuras realized that they have been tricked, but there was nothing to be done now. They promised to grant a boon, and they were bound by their promise. So they looked around them and saw only water and water everywhere. And hence they made one stipulation. They said that they cannot be killed where there is water, and it has to be a dry place where Mahavishnu can kill them. So they thought that because there was no dry area anywhere, they would not be killed. But Bhagavan Vishnu took his cosmic form, the Vishwarupa, and became immeasurably immense, huge. He then placed the two asuras on his massive thighs and beheaded them with his Sudarshan Chakra, the discus. It is also said that from the body fat of these dead demons, the land was formed. And this is how one of the names for the earth is Medini came across. Now the story is very clear that how these asuras did the penance and got the boons, and then they got very puffed up and they had to meet their end. It is also important to recognize that it is Devi who gave the boons, and it is also Devi who had to bring the destruction of them. When you look at the stories of so many of these asuras, they did very severe penance for thousands and thousands of years, and very harsh and severe penance. Seemed very tamasic way of making the body suffer severely. But they did not want enlightenment. All they wanted was have extreme powers, superpowers, and wanted to rule all the worlds, defeat the devas, and they wanted to be immortal. They acquired so many siddhis, and almost all the siddhis they used only for destructive purposes. Next, I want to address a couple of more questions that came up regarding the Madhukaitapa Vada, about the dissolution or the pralaya. What happens during the dissolution and what happens after the dissolution. During the dissolution, the entire field of creatures and all beings, no matter what they are, whether they are men, human beings, or the devatas, or the animals and insects, all of the different spheres of life, they get into the unmanifested state of existence. That means they go beyond activity and all activity ceases. And when they go into the unmanifested state of existence, then it is stated that they remain in Adishakti. They remain there resting in that unmanifested state in Adishakti. Because at this point, only person that is there is the Paramatma or Param Shiva and the Parashakti. And when it is time for the creation to happen again, then all of the creation comes out of her or her chosen manifestations like Brahma Bhagavan or Vishnu Bhagavan and further manifestations of Devi, so on and so forth. And they all come out in their previous status, just as when one goes to sleep and when they wake up, it's the same like that. So there is a Vedic saying, Yatha Purvam Akalpayat. That means as it was before, so it pops up. So all the beings who were in the unmanifest state during this pralaya, then they all pop up into the manifest state just as they were before. And all of this is happening because of the smriti, the memory. And this smriti is in the hollowness, in the unmanifest value. It is in the hollowness of that seed, the bija, of every being. So then we see that the emptiness of a seed of mango will only pop up as a tree of mango. It will not pop up as a tree of guava or a tree of apple or bananas. So again here, the creation becomes automatic. And here, the dissolution is the period in between two creations, the past and then the past and previous one and the present. Just like day and night, this cycle of creation and dissolution goes on eternally. So here in the Vedic history, we see the beginning of every kalpa, which is one day of Lord Brahma. The entire creation happens. Now we have already seen that creation, there is nothing new in reality and it is all automatic, and Bhagavan Brahma becomes the instrumentality here. Again, as we know, the source is Adi Shakti. So after the initial creation by Adi Shakti of the whole entire universes and the galaxies and the innumerable beings, then the further creation and dissolution that are happening in an automatic way set up by the natural laws. So now again, one day of Lord Brahma is one kalpa. And throughout this kalpa, all life forms exist in the universe. So at the end of the kalpa, which is also referred to as Brahmaratri or the night of Brahma, the universe is dark and nothing exists. Soon enough, this Brahmaratri is over and the kalpa cycle starts again. In every manvantara of the kalpa, a new Indra and group of gods or devatas, a new Manu and new Saptarishis are born. So one day of Brahma is the one kalpa and the Brahmaratra together. 30 days make 1 month, Brahma's month, and 12 months make one Brahma year. So 1 year of Brahma is said to be 3.1104 trillion human years. Again, 3.1104 trillion human years. And this 1 year of Brahma is known as Brahmavarsha. And Brahma's lifespan is for 100 years. And this lifespan of Brahma is known as Mahakalpa, which consists of the 100 Brahmavarshas, and it is 311.04 trillion years. Again, it's 311.04 trillion years. So now, if you are wondering where are you in this endless expanse of time, this Brahma is currently 51 years old. And we are living during the first day, which is the Kalpa, of his 51st year. The previous Kalpa was known as Padma Kalpa, and the current day of Brahma Kalpa is known as the Shweta Varaha Kalpa. And within this Kalpa, 6 Manvantras have already passed, and we are living during the 7th Manvantara, known as the Shraddhadeva Manvantara, which is also known as Vaivasvata Manvantara. The name of our Manu is Vaivasvata Manu, and he is the son of Bhagavan Surya and Sanjana. The name of our Indra is Purandar, and our Saptarishis are Kashyapa, Atri, Vasishta, Vishwamitra, Gautama, Jamadagni, and Bharatvaja. And within this Manvantara, we are currently in the Kali Yuga of the 28th Chatur-yuga. And this Kali Yuga is said to have begun at midnight of 18th February 3102 BCE. And thus 5121 years of this Kali Yuga have passed, and we still have 426,879 years of this Kali Yuga left. Again, 426,879 years of this Kali Yuga left. There are 14 Manvantaras in the Kalpa, and we are in the 7th Manvantara now. The 6 Manvantaras before us are Swayambhava Manvantara, Swarochisa Manvantara, Uttama Manvantara, Tamasa or Tapasa Manvantara, Revata Manvantara, Chakshusa Manvantara, and now we are in the Vaivasvata Manvantara, and there are 7 more below us. And in each Manvantara there have been very great happenings. Because Vedavyasa was not focused in writing the history, such a long history in a chronological way, the main events have been described. So in the Swayambhava Manvantara, Brahma created the universe, and then Bhagavan Vishnu takes the Matsya avatar, or the form of the fish, divine fish, and kills the demon Hayagriva. It is during this Manvantara that Bhagavan Vishnu also takes Varaha Avatara, or the divine boar, and rescues the earth. Now the story of Dhruva happens in the Swayambhava Manvantara, which is the 2nd Manvantara. And the story of Bhagavan Vishnu saving Gajendra happens in the 3rd Manvantara, which is the Tamas Manvantara. Again, at the end of the Chakshusa Manvantara, the next one, Bhagavan Vishnu, again in the form of Matsya avatar, saves King Satyavrata. During the fourth Treta Yuga of Vaivashvata Manvantara, Bhagavan Narsimha kills Hiranyakashipu. And during the seventh Treta Yuga of Vaivasvata Manvantara, Bhagavan comes as Vamana and seizes the land of the Asura king Bali. In the 10th Treta Yuga of Vaivashvata Manvantara, birth of Dattatreya happens. In the 15th Treta Yuga of Vaivasvata Manvantara, the reign of King Mandhata is depicted. In the 19th Treta Yuga of Vaivasvata Manvantara, Bhagavan comes as Parshuram and annihilates Kartavirya Arjuna and other Kshatriyas. In the 24th Treta Yuga of Vaivashvata Manvantara, Ramayana happens. At the end of the 28th Dwapara Yuga of Vaivasvata Manvantara, the Mahabharata happens. And at the end of the 28th Kali Yuga of Vaivasvata Manvantara, Kalki Avatar is supposed to happen. Now, we know that we have 4 yugas. There is the Krita Yuga, which lasts approximately 1,728,000 human years. Again, 1,728,000 human years. Then Treta Yuga lasts for 1,296,000 human years. And Dwapara Yuga lasts for 864,000 human years. And Kali Yuga lasts for 432,000 human years. So, the Chatur Yuga together is 4,320,000 human years. Now, Krita Yuga was known as the golden time period or golden age. And during this time, there was no crime and everybody was very dharmic. Almost all people were saintly. There was absence of disease and the people enjoyed the resources of the earth, and there was no agriculture or mining during this period. And everyone lived for thousands of years. Then came the Treta Yuga, which became little less virtuous. Some violent rulers were born and there were some wars. The weather started changing and some extremes of temperature were experienced. And here in this yuga that the humans started farming and mining activities. Even during this time, the people still lived for thousands of years. Then the third yuga is the Dwapara Yuga, and during this time period, in general, the gunas became mixed and people were less strong, more prone for diseases. There was more fights for the power. The average lifespan here reduced to about 200 years. Now Kali Yuga is the one which we are in now, and this is called the age of darkness and ignorance. Kali means dark, just like Kali. More of the effects of the Rajoguna and the Tamoguna here. There is less regard for the knowledge and the scriptures and the human values and dharma. And it is said by the end of the Kali Yuga, the humans will have a lot of the environment ruined, and their average lifespan could be merely 20 years. But I would like to end this by saying what Maharishiji has said, that it is during this Kali Yuga one has the opportunity to become enlightened very quickly. And for those who are enlightened or who are rising in consciousness, then this is Satyuga alone, the time period when Bhagavan Rama ruled the earth. One can live a happy life, live a long life for this yuga, and be fulfilled and become immortal. I don't think it is so much of fun coming back again and again, taking more and more births during this Kali Yuga, and we are only still in the first pada of Kali Yuga. So let us all rise in consciousness and be fully enlightened and fulfill the purpose of life we have come for. I will end here. Jai Gurudev. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.